Hi everyone, and welcome to Billy Fitzgerald Golf. And today we're going to talk about how the start of your swing can really have an effect on the amount of tension and pressure that you have in your swing. So when I look at a good player, what I see is a lot of freedom. Again, their grip pressure, they can feel the weight of the golf club, they can feel the shaft, the grip. So we hold on to it by the grip, but we've got to be able to feel the weight of the club. It goes right into our body, it goes right into our shoulder sockets. We've got to be soft enough in your arms so your arm can move, and your arms can move independently of your body. That's a really big skill that we have to develop. But I see so much from the start of the swing, if we start wrong, we add so much tension in our body that it's kind of a disaster from there. And there's a lot of effort involved in your swing, and we don't get much out of it. The ball doesn't go very far. So if I were to set up to this ball and start my swing, in other words, I didn't have any lever system at all. So kind of a complete lockup of my body if I were to swing, and there's no lever. So for one, that's where a lot of this bent left arm comes through, right? We're swinging back, and your swing is just dying for some kind of lever to happen so we can get some kind of speed in the face. The other thing that I see is that, again, if we've got no lever, we get about right here, and now all of a sudden we've got to start turning, and now, the club is going way too far behind us. Our body is not moving in the right way. That's for a whole nother video, but a lot of things can happen if we don't start correctly. So how do we start correctly? Well, what's the opposite of that? Well, it would be to have a lot of wrist hinge right away. So it would look more like this. Now it would feel like that typically more than it looks on video from my experience in doing this with a lot of clients. But I would say if you're going to have wrist hinge, when does my wrist hinge? It happens sooner than later. I promise you that. Not everybody's going to be the same, but what I'm more concerned about is the amount of pressure, and does it lock your swing up or not. The second thing I'm going to look at is, again, what does it do to your body, your swing speed, all these things that are happening in the swing. So again, if you want correct wrist hinge, it has to start with the grip. Your hands have to be on the club to create some kind of lever system, okay? And lever system the correct way so the face is square. So we'd want this face going up the plane line and square. So we're gonna make a grip check and review here real quick. So the very first thing, you get the face squared off. So this toe is slightly behind the heel because the ball is not on the face yet. You put the club right in your fingers, and your hand sits on top. So again, in my fingers, and then my hand sits on top. And when I do that, you can see it's just my hand working on top of the club. It's not my whole arm and wrist, because again, I don't want to lock this shoulder socket up. So it's just my hand going on top. And then I slide my right hand, so I've got my lifeline in my right palm, and it goes right on the side of the grip. Okay, so my left hand's going to be this chopper or this lever right here, and my right hand's going to be this thrower. It's critical that you get your hands on the club right so they'll hinge. If my hands aren't on the club right, then they won't work, or I have to do something, again, typically with the face, twist it open to get these joints in line to try to get my hands to work. And a lot of times, either it's really too late or the face is way open. So we can simplify a lot of this. We can avoid a lot of this by having the right grip. The next thing I would do is make some swings, right, where you feel that your hands, if I set up, my chest is at the ball, my hands are at the ball, and I start to lever this club. Okay, so when I do that, see, it takes all the pressure off my shoulders when I do this. As opposed to, I get here and making my body turn first and no lever right away. See, as soon as I do that, I can feel tension in my shoulders. I need to feel this. I need to feel the weight of the club. I need to feel the club swinging. Again, this is an over-exaggeration, but again, I'd like to see it a little sooner than later. So if we start swinging, we're just going to do a little exaggeration here. So my hands stay at the ball. My left hand pushes down on the club. Right now the club face is starting to move. I don't have a lot of pressure in my shoulder sockets anymore. The other thing that it's going to do is pull this shoulder down so my body starts to move the right way. So my body starts to move, again, around my spine angle. So again, from down the line, get the correct grip on there, and then feel how the face starts to go first. Right? Then it starts to move my shoulders, then force goes into my foot. Now my hips and shoulders can start to go 90 degrees around my spine angle, which is a big deal. Again, what I see a lot is no wrist hinge, or very late, no wrist hinge, no wrist hinge. Now we start turning, no wrist hinge. See, now I'm really flat and I gotta lift my arms. So this just really uncomplicates, and it gets the sequence going the right way. So I would hit some shots fairly slow, get your grip on there, and feel your hands stay at the ball, the grip stay at the ball, but see how much that face is moving. And then it gets me back and hit. So I set up to the ball, grip stays there, left hand pushes down, I face the ball, the club's going, 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 going. Now I start to turn and hit my ball. So already from that, I can feel a lot of things that are happening. I'm not trying to turn my shoulders, but as I start to hinge the club, all of a sudden I start to develop some width in this grip. The grip starts to get away from me. Now it starts to move my body how it needs to move. So I can get my grip on here. Handle stays at the ball, and I push down, down, down. The club face is going, going, going. So you can see this shoulder start to go down. See, I'm not trying to turn my shoulders, but as I've got this lever and I've got fully cupped, see the handle starting to get away from me. And now I've got some width, and now I've got some turn, and my body starts to rotate in a correct manner. I mean, there's so many good things about that. It's unbelievable than having not a correct grip and then no hinge. So you're better off with, again, the correct grip and correct hinge. Now if I added a little speed to it, so you can see that's a little more delay in my body. It's an early wrist hinge rather than me going this way. So I feel like I push down on the club, and it kind of gets everything moving in the right order, and it gets everything, more importantly, or as equal as important, it gets everything moving around my spine. I don't swing so flat. So now you can add a little speed, but again, the grip stays there, my chest stays there. I push down on the handle, which pushes down on my shoulder socket, and hit. So if you're struggling with, again, a lot of tension, you feel like you're working really hard, you're not getting much out of the golf ball, it's a real chore to swing, check your grip, and then make sure that the head of the golf club is moving first. Make sure that you're starting to get that lever working early enough. Again, those are exaggerations. When you put it in your full swing, you get it on camera, it may not look so soon, right? If I'm swinging back and forth, when does my wrist hinge? You know, it's a lot of it's kind of the weight of the golf club, right? But for those that have very late hinge and it's way up here, I can tell you right now, you're making this game way too hard. So give this a try, free yourself up, get some effortless speed again, and get your body working the right way. For more tips like these, or to schedule a live lesson, visit me at billyfitzgeraldgolf.com.